Now, workers at the Louvre Museum have begun a rolling strike to demand extra staff and measures to tackle overcrowding. We've been hearing in the last half hour that they've voted, in fact, to continue that strike. The museum will remain closed for at least the rest of today. It comes after a series of disasters hit the museum over the last few months, including, of course, that huge jewellery heist just a month or so ago. Well, let's cross to the Louvre, talk to our reporter, Claire Paccalin, who joins us from there. Claire, bring us up to date then, because a vote has happened in the last hour since we last spoke.
Certainly, the strike action is very much happening, Stuart. You might be able to make out behind me the brightly coloured flags of the trade unions. So a small demonstration is now taking place by workers outside the Louvre Museum. They're mingling with tourists who've turned up hoping to get inside the museum today, but that's looking very unlikely. I was speaking to two different members of staff who work on the welcome on the front desk, and they are telling people who've come here, who've booked their tickets and who are hoping to visit the museum today, they are telling people to go away, come back in the afternoon. There's a very slim chance that the museum will open, but really we're looking at a very unlikely situation that the Louvre will reopen its doors today, because the strikers look pretty stuck in. I can't actually get any closer because journalists with cameras are not allowed to go over across this barrier, but I was able to get in a few minutes ago to speak to some of the tourists there who, of course, really disappointed. I spoke to a family who've come from Canada who are hoping to visit the museum today, and they've just given up. They're just going to have a walk around Paris and do other historical sites here. I also spoke to an Australian couple who said that they were going to try again to get back into the museum later this afternoon, because this is, of course, a once-in-a-lifetime trip for them. So a lot of disappointment, a lot of frustration, though, of course, from trade unions who say that enough is enough. They have been trying for years to highlight the issues facing the museum, as well as the workers, as well as the visitors as well. Trade unions saying that visiting the Louvre has become like an obstacle course for visitors because of the issues with overcrowding, facilities and the structural problems with the building, and that enough is enough, and they're putting their foot down this time.
It's interesting, Claire, that you say you spoke to a couple of front desk workers, if you like, because the union is saying it's not just the front desk, it's not just the security, a lot of other staff at the Louvre taking action now.
Certainly, this is historic. This strike is being followed by a large number of workers. This is historic. We have seen earlier this year a very small strike action being voted for, but that was a flash event. It didn't last long. This, though, is the real thing. Now, the Louvre is always closed on a Tuesday, so it won't open tomorrow. And we understand that the trade unions will be meeting again on Wednesday morning and deciding whether or not to continue this strike. Really what they say they want are more resources for security, as well as on the front desk, and actually those who are working on the front line, for their complaints to be listened to. What they don't want are flashy, expensive, prestigious projects to try to reorganise the whole museum. That's what's happening. The Louvre New Renaissance programme, which was launched earlier this year, plans to build a new entrance, plans to build new underground galleries. The staff and who are on strike today say that what they want is actually money and resources on the ground. They say that in the last 15 years, 150 full-time positions have been cut. And of course, that's meant more pressure on workers as visitor numbers have gone up. Now, we are expecting more negotiations to continue, and we do understand that the management of the museum has its weight behind this multi-million euro project, the new Louvre Renaissance project, and that really is something that they believe will help to control visitor numbers. And we did hear also from the Culture Minister, Rachida Dati, last week, naming Philippe Jost, who was in charge of the project to rebuild Notre Dame. He has also now been named in charge of reorganising the Louvre. So movement happening, but today the doors of the museum for the moment are firmly closed.